I could have yelled, "Wait!" but that would have bought exactly 1 second, and it would have sounded like guilt. So I stood there, heart in my jaw, ribbon ends limp in my trader hands when Maya stepped in. Time didn't stop, it focused. She took me in with one sweep. My face, with its faint sparkle, the cardigan, the black chiffon at my hips, the shoebox open like a confession on the desk. Her mouth opened in a little "oh," then closed. She set her phone on my dresser very slowly, as if it were a vase of something fragile. "Okay," she said. She said it like a nurse taking vitals. Not approval or disapproval, just an assessment. Pulse present. "It's not." I started, and then stopped because what came after, "not," would be a lie aimed at both of us. She studied me. The air in the room shifted from caught to waiting. Maya has a resting face that reads amused, but under it she can assemble any seriousness she needs. Now she did. She stepped closer and looked not at the skirt, not at my hands, but at my eyes in the mirror. "How does it feel?" she asked. "No, why? No, when did this start? No, are you kidding me?" "Just that." I swallowed. "Right," I said, and then side-eyed the word in the mirror as if it might be too big for the frame. "It feels right." She nodded. "May I?" Her hand hovered near the dangling ribbon. I nodded back. She reached in and found the knot like she'd tied it 100 times, which she had, just not on me. The bow firmed up and lay down against the fabric neatly. I could breathe again. We stood there for another beat, the mirror a third person in the conversation. Maya smiled very slightly. "You know you're stepping on the leg warmer with your heel, right?" I looked down. I was. We both laughed, but quietly, because too much laughter might have turned into something else. "I didn't mean to go through your stuff," I said. "The attic. It was just there, and I needed. I don't know what I needed." "It was my stuff," she said, and surprised me. "Now it's a museum." She glanced around at the array on my bed. "You curated it well." "I won't. I mean, I'll put everything back. I'm sorry if—" "Whoa," she said, palms out in a defensive stance. "Hey, you didn't break anything. You didn't steal a car and crash it into a church. You tried on a skirt in your room. I'm 16. And I don't know what that means," I said, and the words came out small but honest. She nodded again, like a conductor giving a cue. "Me neither, but I can help you try stuff on and do something about your hair." "Good luck," I said, and attempted a joke, because the intensity in my chest needed a pressure valve. It has its own bylaws. "Sit," she said, pointing at my chair with faux sternness I recognized from 100 mornings before recitals. "We're going to do the world's smallest half-up clip, and then we're going to have a very sensible conversation about laundry. We found the middle like that, a combination of tiny adjustments and ordinary logistics." She clipped the front of my hair back so it stopped falling into my eyes. She told me the at-risk items. She made me try on the warm-up sweater in a way that looked less like I'd borrowed my grandma's cardigan and more like I understood layering. "Softer shoulders," she murmured, tugging at the sleeve. "You don't have to hunch to earn space." We talked, too, without the kind of capital letters that make things heavy. I told her about the 8-year-old me, who sat on sticky auditorium chairs and watched the piano teacher's hands while secretly cataloging the shimmer of costumes. I told her about passing a rack of sundresses in a store and pausing to touch the fabric with a finger, pretending I was just checking the price tag. I told her about stopping myself every time with a shame that felt too big for the small acts it punished. She told me about the push-pull of dance, how costumes had felt like power sometimes, stepping into that blue tutu and knowing for 2 minutes the ceiling would hold the lights just so and everyone would clap on purpose. How other times they felt like a weight, breathing shallow, so a bodice would lay right, shaving blisters raw because it's only 3 minutes on stage. She admitted she hadn't opened the attic box since graduation because she didn't know how to hold both gratitude and grief in the same hand. "Maybe we figure it out together," she said. "The parts we want to keep, the parts you can borrow, and make yours. I looked at the mirror, and the girlish not a girl and not a girl reflection staring back, and the word borrow settled in my stomach like something that meant care, more than it meant temporary. We let that be the end of the heavy part for the afternoon. Maya moved around my room the way coaches do, setting up small wins. She showed me how to tie the chiffon wrap, so the bow sat slightly off-center where it looked like a choice. She pulled out a different skirt from the box, a grape-colored one with a tiny hem of sequins that caught light, like you catch a friend's eye across a room when you both want to laugh. This might actually fit better, she said, and she was right. When she found the old ballet flats, and I said a reflexive nope, remembering the torture devices they were on tiny feet, she laughed. I won't put you in a shoe you could declare war on, she promised, and instead brought me her black practice slippers, soft, barely shoes at all. I stood and tried a tentative turn and almost slid. Carpet, she warned, catching my elbow. Also, you are not the first person to lose an argument with physics. We ate dinner in our costumes, like little kids who'd refused to take off Halloween. Dad texted that he'd be home at 9. Mom sent a string of exhausted emojis and a photo of the hospital's break room coffee. We washed dishes slowly so we could hear the steady hush of the faucet and think without worrying about saying the right thing. When we finally went back upstairs, Maya knocked on my door like she was entering someone else's room. I'm going to grab a shower, she said, leaning against the frame. Do you want me to? Leave you anything? What do you mean? A skirt, she said. She held up the grape-colored one. I can, if you want. Leave this in your room. You don't have to go back to the attic every time. The place between my ribs and my throat felt like an elevator stopping on a floor I'd forgotten existed. Yeah, I said. I mean, if you're okay with that. I'm okay, she said, and her smile had the steady warmth of a kitchen light at 2 a.m. on one condition. Here we go. Laundry lessons part 2, she said. Sequins plus pillowcase plus cold. And if you spill spaghetti sauce on it, I reserve the right to text you 16 pictures of crying emojis. Deal, I said. She set the skirt on my chair as if handing me a book I'd asked to borrow. She didn't hug me. We're not a hugging-on-purpose family. She did ruffle my clipped-back hair, the way she used to when I was shorter. Club of 2, she said. Membership includes knots, clips, and emergency stain removal. Do I get a card? I'll issue one on cardstock and laminate it in tape like a professional, she promised. After she left, I stood in front of the mirror and leaned in. I touched the glitter on my eyelids. The sun had crept lower, turned twilight, and I glowed. I held the ribbon ends and retied them because now I knew how, and the knot obeyed, firm and even. I sat on the floor and lined up the slippers and leg warmers in a neat row. I put the grape skirt on my chair where my hoodie usually lived. We didn't talk about names that night. That felt like a different road. When you walk, when the map is bigger than a bedroom. We didn't sketch futures. We made a small circle and sat in it. We know that being transgender can be a difficult journey, and we want to do our part to make it a little bit easier. If you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to our channel. It would mean the world to us. This will help us continue to create content that is helpful and supportive for the community. Thank you again for watching, and we hope to see you next time.